Alright, so continuing along with ABZU now, we've got some kind of mega structure here, and the whole of this environment has gone ahead and opened up. So, we're going to do some exploring. I did discover that actually, if you go to the menu and you try to meditate, you can only go to the specific areas with a shark sculpture. So, we're going to have to rely on our own knowledge to decohere the total list of species that are in other parts of the map, right? Like the cleaner wrassies we saw. But if we just try to go as deep as we possibly can, is there a barrier? No, it seems to be allowing us to do so. I'm having the lights of the drones turn on now. Some kind of big shadow down there. Here's the bottom. The game does not like us going down there. It keeps trying to push us back. Yeah. Oh, what do we have down here? Lobsters. Horseshoe crabs. Horseshoe crabs aren't even crustaceans. I think they might be like a stem group to arachnids, actually. Another little crab down here. Interesting. Horseshoe crabs are the closest living relatives of... What do we got here? Oh, nice. Leatherback sea turtles. Big guys. I'm surprised they're not a little bigger, actually, considering how small we are. But they can get huge, especially if you see the inside of their mouths. They look very alien. But horseshoe crabs are actually the closest living relatives of trilobites. This is a kind of interesting space back here. I kind of like that it's largely empty. These are really cool. We don't normally associate big marine reptiles with things that are currently living, but the leatherbacks are certainly an exception to that. We've got an ammonite shell here. Wonder what it means. What did we get? Okay, I have no clue what that did. I'm getting distracted by every fish, and it doesn't help that I can't move that well either. Fuck, I can't see them. I'd like to know what they are, though. I guess we kind of do have to be an android. These rapid depth changes would not do us any good if we were a human. Is that a barracuda? No, that's a wahoo right there to the left. I'm not sure what those guys are, actually. Very cool. So we've arrived at the megastructure, and it's opened up to us. Looks like our drone is leaving us. We must continue alone for the time being. Another kelp forest. And we've got a fast current going here. Can we swim against it? Nope, that's pretty futile. Alright, and we are just moving. We got some blue line snapper, 5-line snapper, or whatever they are. These look like some regular snapper. Got some parrotfish. Got some wahoo. I think we can swim into the schools for a boost, perhaps. Yeah. Not sure what it does. And then I see some bigger guys who I can't identify. Some more Gibraldies from last time. Interesting. This part reminds me a little of Echo the Dolphin, actually. Oh, speak of the devil. Common dolphins. Damn. Thought that was snow at first, but I guess it's just white sand. But yeah, I think there's only one species here that I've seen that I don't know the identity of. I wonder if the aesthetic of these games in particular, those are the Trivalis, I wonder if the aesthetic of these games in particular, like the ABZU kind of aesthetic that makes it so beautiful, has maybe something to do with the fact that the colors are more discrete. Like if you have black, if you have yellow, whatever you have, it creates more of a boundary with the environment as opposed to just bleeding into itself. And we've got more jellyfish. I'm kind of surprised. Oh, there's our buddy. Watch out. Oh, he went away. It seems to want us to go down. Anglerfish? Looks like it. And back up. Yeah, these pressure changes would destroy a human. And here we are. Let's ride this little common dolphin. Yep, and it's giving us a little pop-up that is indeed what he's supposed to be. Seems our piloting of him is imperfect. By the way, this section reminds me immensely of the grassy plateaus in Subnautica. Can't get over these controls. They're still pretty damn difficult. There we go. Nice. Alright, let's let them go. You know, there's two species of common dolphins, I do believe. There's a long-beaked and the short-beaked, and it looks like these are the short-beaked. But let's have a look around. Let's see what all is here. I don't know what those ammonites do, but we'll find out what they are. There's a humphead wrasse. Pretty big. They can change their gender. But I guess that's not unique to them as far as fish go. Ooh, that is bright. Alright, let's have a look around. Clownfish. Oh, I didn't see them. But you see, they wouldn't be just swimming out in the open like that. A lot of animals hate to be out in the open. They have an instinctive fear of open places. Makes them feel vulnerable, like they're about to get killed. And most of the time, they are correct. Now, how do we shift between the species? Here we go. Yeah. So that's a common dolphin. Can't really tell if it's the long-beaked or the short-beaked. Looks kind of intermediate. It might be the long-beaked. Spotted grouper? Coral trout. Not actually a trout, obviously, but it is a grouper. Is it the same for these guys? Is that a sweet lips? No, I don't think so. But it's clearly some other kind of grouper, closely related. Or it may just be an alternate skin of the same thing. Emperor angelfish. They're very different when they're juveniles. They're blue and they have these like white rings around them. Very common in the aquarium trade. Slightly overrated, if I do say so myself. We got a reef triggerfish. They can be pretty nippy. A bicolor parrotfish. Interesting. They're responsible in many cases for crushing up a lot of shellfish and creating sand. Bannerfish. I've never heard them called that. But they are some kind of angelfish, butterfly fish, that same family, I'm pretty sure. An anthias. Okay, yeah, this is the purple guy with the white caudal and anal fins. Also common in aquarium trades. Again, none of these species would be out and about, so we could go one route and we could critique the game developers for making them behave in this way, or we could, maybe the more fun option, we could read in too deep. Really read into it and conclude that the behavior of these species must be altered somehow. They're not behaving in the normal way. Ooh, that's an interesting guy, in between the anthias and the tangs. Oh, it's not a tang. I think a surgeonfish is a tang, actually. But I get a kick out of the surgeonfish in Feeding Frenzy, because they do not look like actual surgeonfish. Picasso triggerfish. Azure damselfish. Damselfish tend to be pretty aggressive, except for the blue-green damselfish, which are somewhat less so, but they can be very territorial, guarding their nests and stuff. This is not the behavior of coral reef species. They would not be going like this. Clearly, their instinct has been affected. And instinct ultimately is genetic too, but the extent to which it can be a derived trait can be surprising. And yeah, there's the humphead wrasse. The largest of the wrasses, I do believe. Ugly looking fish, not gonna lie. But I think that's about it for this section. Alright, and we are setting off again. Got a little cave in here. Now it's really like the grassy plateaus of Subnautica. Oh, glass eels. Or no, ribbon eels. Yeah. These guys are cool. You do see them in aquariums sometimes, but or are they called sandfish? I forget what those guys are called, but they're cool. Yeah. Cusk eels? No, that's not right. They're not ribbon eels for sure. But yeah, they do look very unfish-like when they're like holding themselves out of the water horizontally like that. Very cool. Our body design is like that of a human, so I would think we would not be able to match the other creatures in terms of speed just because of biomechanics. Although I do think, even with a human body plan, if it were like an android like this, if it were artificial, there would be a lot you could do. Another current, it looks like. Amazing how it's just under all this rock. It's like the center of the earth. It's like the hollow earth. Alright, clear it up. Okay, tuna, let's head in. Sea turtles. Definitely not leatherbacks. Here we go. What do we got here? Are those green sea turtles? I don't know my sea turtles too well. Could be anything. We got pilot fish here. We got pilot fish in the house. I don't know what these blue guys are. Maybe some other kind of parrot fish. And we got yellowfin tuna. Pilot fish like to hang around sharks. They have a similar relationship as remoras, though they don't actually stick. Oh, what's that called? Mutualism, commensalism? I think it's probably more commensalist. Hey, no! I need to get that ammonite. There's no stopping the current, I guess. Alright, and they're off. Wait. Oh, it's not letting me stop. Those were some interesting fish. I want to see orcas. Orcas. Can we ride them? Nope. Looks like riding is disabled for this part. Looks like we're in a similar biome that we were in last time. Gibraldies. We got Goliath groupers. Whoa. Sailfish. These look like reef sharks. Hammerheads. I'm not sure what the more normal looking reef sharks there are. I'd have to get a closer look at them. Wow. And the trevallies have joined us. Mahi-mahis, right back there. Mahi-mahis are one of the fastest growing fish. They're incredibly short-lived. They get pretty damn big, but they only live for about 3 years. Barracuda. I was waiting for them to show up. That was one of my favorite animals as a kid. Wee. One guy there did a little crescent. And we come to another dead zone. Well, let's just wake it up and see what all's going on. I assume we'll mostly get previous species that we've already seen, but you never know. Even though it's a dead zone, there's still, like, corals down here. That's interesting. I didn't know we could do that. Could we always do that? Get that little speed boost? It's possible, just because I'm so bad at the controls. Alright, now don't screw this up now. Aim for the bullseye. Here we go. Now we're going back to the little freaking Mount Olympus looking stuff from last time. Yep. Very big, very huge. Oh, the ammonites we've collected show up here. So do we only have 2? And we already have another little tree of life that we activated there. We're kind of like Mothra Leo in this story, basically. Bringing back life, especially to these sections. Although, there's a motif in this story of, like, mankind versus nature, like technology versus nature. But I kind of disagree with that narrative. I argue it isn't actually supported. Because look at this shit. Look, this is not nature, right? This is made by man. This is architecture. So maybe it's not man versus nature. Maybe it's just beauty versus industrial ugliness. So what are we going to get? I'm guessing orcas. Yep. Orcas. Those look like type C orcas based on the tininess of the little white oval patch. but what the hell do I know? Alright, we're giving this place life, but see, this is not nature, right? There's a temple, there's structures here, there's a brine pool, it's all... Everything is in harmony, it exists in a much more exaggerated state than you'd actually find in nature. It's almost like the pornographic equivalent of something, so I disagree that this game is necessarily about, like, you know, nature above all. Seems to be something a little more esoteric going on. It's a shame, as far as I can tell, that there's no meditation station here, because there's a lot of interesting creatures in these sections that I would like to know about. But it seems like it's mostly stuff that we've seen before. Those are barracudas, but I wonder what type. They may not be the great barracudas. There's many different types of barracudas. A lot of the smaller ones are schooling, whereas the... there's copper. Whereas the... Oh, there's a meditation station here. Good. Let's see what we can find here. But the great barracudas, once they get bigger, they won't school. They'll be more solitary. It just says barracuda. Very interesting idea to make the tops green, right? Like, in real life, they only occasionally look green. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. If you haven't actually been around the ocean, if you haven't seen the fish, their colors do change, and they can look very differently depending on what angle you see them from. So from the top, sometimes they can, in fact, look green, but obviously this is a video game, this is a model, so it's just kind of eternally green. But sometimes the top can look blue, or sometimes just silver, black, even, gray. Oh, so much for living in harmony. Yeah, come on, fuck them up. Yeah, I don't think a barracuda could bend that flexibly, up and down like that. But it's an interesting guy, nevertheless. Undulate triggerfish. Powder blue tang. Seems to look like a surgeonfish. Oh no, this is the blue tang. I'm stupid. Unicorn fish. I suspect that's probably related to surgeonfish. There's some slightly more aesthetic green ones behind them in this school. Barracuda hunting again. There's just one yellow tang all by himself. You're gonna get fucked up if you stay by yourself. You gotta school together. The orcas are just here. Oh, look at the eye. You can actually see the eye. Realistically, everyone would be running because they're gonna fuck everybody up. They are the apex predators of the ocean. Although I do maintain that in a hypothetical where it came down to an orca and a great white shark, and it was 1v1, and they were at equal sizes, I think the orca is getting destroyed. Oh, it was a green sea turtle. It's kind of ironic because they're not really that green. They're more brownish. Oh, we clipped out of the map. Haha. Barracudas escaped this mortal coil. Orca juvenile. Oh yeah, he's a little guy. It would be interesting to make a game where you could play as these creatures and fight as them. Obviously, that would not be the first attempt at a game like that, but to really try to convey the dynamics of an underwater battle like that accurately, right? As opposed to in a more cartoonish or even easier to play sense. Really capture the reality of how those animals move and when they do fight, like what the impacts actually mean. It's kind of interesting that there aren't more truly macro-predatory bony fish, you know? That niche seems to be taken almost completely by sharks. There isn't really that much of a generalist predator that's like a bony fish. I guess maybe barracuda would be one that can actually take like large prey. Maybe the Antarctic toothfish in the Southern Ocean. That's really about it. Aha, a threadfin butterfly fish. I'm pretty sure that's what we play as in Feeding Frenzy 2, or at least something pretty close to it. Another nostalgic game was Endless Ocean 2. That was also very expansive. Really tried to cover like every oceanic species that existed. It was pretty complete. Okay, so there's a great white shark here, so clearly our people have a special relationship with it. One of these vases is broken. When I first watched... Whoa, there he is, right? Hello? Oh no, it's just another guy. White tip, oceanic white tips? Yes, we got another megastructure there. We're gonna call it... Well, actually, let's get to the megastructure. Let's explore this area first, and then we'll call it. But there is a hell of a bait ball there. There's a striped marlin, a couple of them, actually. And a bunch of trevallies all in there. That is something else. Let's head in. Whoa. I wish to stay in here. Striped marlin's looking cool. And again, some kind of requiem shark, I'm not sure which. Blacktip reef shark, but I don't know what they'd be doing in pelagic waters. And that one definitely looks like an oceanic white tip. Yep. And more wahoo, it looks like. You can tell, I would have said king mackerel, but the structure of the dorsal fin is different. Let's head down. Whoa! A whale. Fucking whale. Those look like humpbacks to me. Perhaps one of the most overrated whales, I must say, unfortunately. Come on. Oh, it's not letting us ride it. What a piece of shit. Interesting. Again, kind of like Endless Ocean, kind of like Thanatos when you find them amongst the temples. It's a common motif, but I guess it does go well with the oceanic aesthetic. So, it's never really bothered me, per se. What are these guys? Some kind of pilot fish, I think. Still not sure what that... Whoa! Basking shark, hell yes. One of the most underrated of the sharks. He is a big guy. Wow, he looks almost as big as the humpback whales. I don't think they get that big. This guy might be an unusually large specimen. Let's go to him. Look at you, soy jacking. Aha, he's nice. He does let us ride. Basking sharks. I do like these guys a lot better than whale sharks. Whale sharks have the superior color schemes. Basking sharks have the superior sculpt, and ultimately that's what matters more. I'd like to see him close his mouth. I don't know if they bothered modeling that in, but they do look very peculiar when their mouths are actually closed. Basking sharks have a atypically low species diversity, but it looks like he's not going to close his mouth. It looks like he wants to gorge on the plankton and stuff here. You can see the big gill rakers for taking it all in. It's very cool. You see a lot of cool stuff when you go down here. This is kind of like level 8 in Jaws Unleashed, where you just go straight down, and it can be quite unnerving. Alright, in we go. So we're allowed access into these megastructures, interestingly, because it seems like we're at odds with them. And that'll be kind of a supercut. But that's what I'm thinking. By the way, if anyone's curious still about Frank content, I have one lore video I have to edit, and there is one content video planned. But other than that, that's all for now. And yeah, I thought I remembered this aesthetic, you know, orange kelp forests. Not sure it exists. I'm sure there's certain situations in which the afternoon sun can make it look that way, but yeah, I don't know. Does look very pretty. You gotta give it that. And we've got an oceanic sunfish. Biggest of the bony fish, somewhat disappointingly, at least the ones that are alive today. We got the wahoos. We've got eagle rays, looks like down there. And not sure what that is. Looks like maybe some kind of permit or pompano or something related to that. But yeah, we're gonna call it here for now.